losers run. Hear me out, hear me out. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets die in your heart to slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to TOFFEE BLUECAST. Get on, get involved, let the numbers commence. Let's get them up. Right, I have got a really important message and video for you on the channel. Now, this is a bit crazy, and you're probably going to be shocked on this. It is. Can you believe this, Paul? Like, you ready? Let's just drop it now. Oh my days, you lost the league. They're Goodison Park. You lost the league. They're Goodison Park.
Not bad, eh?
What a feeling. As Lionel Richie says, dancing on the ceiling. That is just amazing.
You know what?
I was still buzzing.
No, I was just going to say, I had a shocking migraine. I've never had a migraine before. I had a shocking migraine on Tuesday. I had to come home, flat out. School's been dead hard. It's just been a crappy week, but it doesn't matter because we won 2-0.
What a result that was. And I put a few shorts up, and the shorts have been going crazy. And a few cop-outs have been jumping on it and saying, oh, but what have you won? And they goes, oh, you're really shit, you lot are. How can you brag when you're so shit? But I was like, yeah, we are, and we beat you. So what does that say about you if we're so shit that we actually beat you? They really, the more they come at you, the more you know they're hurt, the more happier I get. So, yeah, I am going to enjoy it. They would have enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. But that game is done. To be fair, it was quite an easy game. We probably need a bit better competition, and Brentford will be better competition. So let's do this. We have tonight for you, people, in the comments. We'll get you involved in a minute. We have for you an opposition fan, a Brentford fan. We've done it. We've got one. His name's Dan. Let's give him a build-up, Paul. Let's give him the entrance. Like Undertaker here. Boom. He's mean. He wants it to make it 3 wins today. What a build-up.
I knew this would be a good one to come on.
Yes, the banter is in the building, Dan. You are here. Now, I know you're going to mean business, so I know you're after us. I did look at the form. We're going to go into that. You've got 2 wins. We've got 2 wins. So it could be a draw, but that's got to end, hasn't it? Someone's either going to get 3 wins or it's going to be a draw. Now, I'm going to put the form on here. I can't believe how good you... Well, I can believe. I'm not going to say I can't believe like that, but I just like... I didn't realise you were smashing it so much. Probably because I was that focused on Everton.
Yeah, so we're unbeaten, but in 3 before that as well. So it's 5 games now since we last lost. Yeah, I think it's coincided with players coming back from injury, really. And, you know, I think a few weeks ago, this game would have been massive in terms of probably towards the bottom of the table. But now, given both teams' form, I'm almost looking forward to it in a different way in terms of not being too worried about looking down anymore. And it's looking like both teams are likely safe. And in terms of Brentford, we could definitely be safe if Luton lose just before we kick off tomorrow. So, yeah, it's nice to just enjoy it all again.
No, I remember last time we played you, it was something like this. You was unbeaten in so many, and we managed to break it. I think he was unbeaten in 9 or something like that, wasn't it, Paul, when we played him last time?
Yeah.
Just a couple of shout out to people in the comments, all the regulars. I'm just going to give you a shout out now. Eugene, Dazzle, Emma, West Egg, all in the house, all the regulars. Get involved. Rob, love it. Get involved. Sunday Night Blues, we love your channel, mate. Shout out to you. Paul Caswell, all in the house. They are all listening. Get involved. We want more on the channel. Literally, we will speak to you in the comments all the way through. We will get you involved with this stream. Now, I'm going to chuck this on you, Paul, to talk about our form there. And then I'll chuck it on Dan to talk about Brentford's form.
I mean, you get rid of 3, get rid of the number 3. And that's 4 different decent games. I mean, we've only conceded... Yeah, we've conceded a few. Forget 3. We conceded 1 in 4 games. You know, we scored 1, 2, 4. We scored 6 in 4 games. I tell you what, that's not bad at all. And a few clean sheets in there. We're smashing it now. 3 in a week. 2 so far. 2 2-0s. Hopefully 2-0 tomorrow. That'd be awesome.
No, we are picking up now. It wasn't like that, though. I mean, don't be fooled. We all know what happened before that. Luckily, it's all changed. But we didn't even know where a win was going to come from, did we, Paul, before that? It's all in the past. But we was like, are we even going to win a game? Can we even score goals? And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin opened the tap. That Burnley game. That was our first win in about 11, that Burnley game. But it just shows what a win can do, because we won that Burnley game, and then all of a sudden you've got the confidence. I know we got battered against Chelsea, but you had the confidence to put it right and win again the next game and win the derby as well. So we have got confidence now, which we ain't had.
Yeah, there'd be some people who might suggest, and I'd be one of them, that if we hadn't got smashed against Chelsea and we were just sort of losing by 1 or a 2-1 or something like that, that maybe we wouldn't have got the performances from the Forest and the Liverpool game from Wednesday either. You know, I think it was a proper rod up the arse, if you like, from Deitch, and a few home truths, and they obviously had a team meeting after the Chelsea game and laid it out on the table, and that's obviously done them a world of good. Hence the last 2 games.
Yeah, well, it could be that Dyche gave him a massive bollock and a rod up the arse, or it could just be that Dyche took his shirt and trousers off and put a tracksuit on, and that's what's got us winning, is Dyche chucking the tracksuit on.
If we only knew that, months ago, I mean, we wouldn't be in this mess, would we? To be fair,
we actually, I'd go as far as to say, Paul, that if Dyche would have worn the tracksuit at the start of the season, we would have won every game and won the league already by now. But he didn't. So we've just got to accept it and realise that he knows to wear the tracksuit now, because it's the lucky charm. Since he's wore it 2 out of 2. Can't go wrong on that. Now, I'm going to get you to talk about your form, Dan. Jamie in the comments said, here, I don't know whether you've seen this one, on your form. Just trying to get up to it. Yeah, the only thing that you're missing is an L on that form, Dan. Talk us through those games.
Yeah, so I mean, I think generally all season our performances have probably been slightly better than results. And I think before that Man United game, there was an international break. And we've had lots of injuries this season, but more recently, those players are starting to come back. And I said on our podcast before the Man United game, I think we need 9 more points to be safe. And on paper, I would have said those first 3, so the Man United, Brighton and Villa games, were probably 3 of the hardest fixtures that we had left, in addition to Newcastle on the final day. So the fact that we got a point in each of those games really helped us. Obviously, that put us a third of the way to what I thought we'd need to stay up. That Man United game, I mean, we really dominated them. We completely dominated. I know recently, whoever Man United seem to play, they seem to concede 20, 30 shots. They're a very strange team. They've got individual quality, but they don't seem to be able to string a game plan together. And we absolutely battered them. But then Man United scored in the 93rd minute to take the lead. and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But we recovered, and at times we haven't recovered from going down. At times we haven't reacted too well to conceding, and we've conceded twice in quick succession. But come the 99th minute, we equalised, and I think that gave us some confidence. I mean, that was the very least we deserved from that game. The Brighton game was a bit drab, to be honest. I don't think either side did enough to win. I think we cancelled each other out. I think Brighton also had quite a few injuries around that time. The Villa one was good. I mean, the Villa one, we were 1-0 down and 3-1 down, and it looked like it was just going to be one of those away games that we've had a few times this season where we're just not quite good enough. And then I don't know what happened in the second half, but we came back, and at one point it looked like we might win it. I think we actually went 3-2 up. So I think we were 2-0 down, and we went 3-2 up. So yeah, again, that gave us confidence because Villa, their record at home, been brilliant this season. But then the big ones we were looking at, the big ones even before that United game we was looking at, is the run of Sheffield United, Luton, Everton, because those are three of our, relegation rivals, if you will. And Sheffield United, you could see that it was a bit nervy. We went back to a back four, which is our favoured formation normally when we're not playing one of the big six. But we hadn't played it in months because I think, especially with our injuries, we didn't have any fullbacks at one point. So we was kind of playing midfielders there and making up for it by playing a back five. But went back to a four for Sheffield United because a few players coming back, and obviously Sheffield United are a team that we fancy ourselves against in terms of being able to dominate play. It was a bit cagey, but we got the job done and we got what we need. And then last week at Luton, obviously that was a massive game, especially for Luton. And I really expected them to come at us, and I really expected them to be hard to beat. I think the majority of Luton games I've seen this season, they've been very, very good. But I think it was the best we played all season last week at Luton. We absolutely blew them away. And it was refreshing to see the Brentford we know again, and the Brentford with certain players coming back, how good we just can be without Ivan Toney as well. And obviously that's been a big story. And obviously he was banned, and even more recently he's been out of the team. He's got a slight injury issue. So it's good to see perhaps, a glimpse of what we might get next season. So that was brilliant. And I think now I'm just going into this game thinking, we can just enjoy it now. And obviously, like I said at the start, with your guys' recent results, then, I think it'll be a good game. And when Sky Sports put it on TV, I don't think they were thinking that both teams would be practically safe by the time the game would come around. So they're probably a bit disappointed about that. But no, yeah, we've much improved, and it's been a lot better.
No, I think Sky Sports all too well. I think they would have loved for us to be at the bottom, sweating,
That's what
in
they want.
massive trouble to make big headlines. Yeah, but it's not. It's a big game because we're not mathematically safe. But I think it's going to take Luton to win about 3 games for them to go above us. So we kind of are safe, but we do want to get the job done. Question from Jamie to you, Dan, before we move on to the lineups. On a level, Mope, you know him. You've took him off us. What would you mark him out of 10, and what do you think on him? Would you sign him?
Well, first of all, for context, obviously, I'm sure a lot of Everton fans know, but he originally played for Brentford. So we bought him in from France when we was in the Championship. And he did quite well for us in the Championship. I think he may not have been top scorer in the Championship, but he was in the top 3, at least in one season. And then obviously he went to Brighton, and even at Brighton, I think he did okay. I don't think he's ever going to be a striker who will score lots and lots in the Premier League. I think perhaps Everton, from an outside perspective, I think Everton was probably the wrong move for him, especially Sean Dyche. I see as the type of manager who likes the profile of Calvert-Lewin or Beto up front, for example. More of a target man, more of someone who can hold the ball up. And that's not really him. But since he's come back to us, he scored goals. He has scored goals. I wouldn't put him in our starting 11. I think he lacks a bit of pace up front. He's a bit slow. But he's passionate about Brentford. I think he's very passionate about Brentford, and he loves Brentford. And I don't think he ever really felt that connection with the Everton supporters and fans. Obviously,
No.
I think it did help, obviously, that he played for Brentford previously and had a lot of
Do you think
success.
I know there's got like a thing in his contract where you've got the option to sign him. I don't know what the amount is. I don't know whether you know.
Yeah,
Probably no
I,
one knows. But do you think you'll sign him?
I think it depends on the fee. Like if it's, I wouldn't pay a lot for him, but if it's like less than 10,
Free.
15 million, I'd say if it's less than 10, 15 million, I think he would be a good squad option. I think he's good at coming on the last 10 minutes to wind up the opposition. And he has scored goals. He has scored goals for Brentford. There was a goal at Forest at home. He scored a really good goal. He like took it down on his chest, volleyed it into the bottom corner. I think when he initially came, he was a shot of confidence. And, you could see it when he was in front of goal. But when he got the first one, I think it started coming back to him. And I think he's a decent striker. Probably a very average striker at this level. So I wouldn't rely on him, and I'd be worried if we relied on him as our first choice. But I think as a squad option, I would definitely take him. And I think he'd like to
I
come.
think you have. I think you've sorry to put in, but this goes on what you're saying. I think you have signed a couple of players already, but just haven't. You haven't like brought them into play yet. There's been a few signings that you've already got in, haven't they? For next season.
Well, yeah, there's a striker in the summer, Igor Thiago. He's more of like the target man type, and he seems to me to be the like for like replacement to Ivan Toney, who obviously everyone's expecting to leave this summer. I can't see Ivan Toney being a Brentford player beyond this summer. So yeah, he's playing out in for Club Brugge in Belgium. So it's very difficult to see how he'll adapt to the Premier League. It's I don't know until I'll see him. It's very different playing in that division compared to coming to the Premier League. But I've got to trust Brentford's record over the years, and I've got to trust that they've scouted him for a long time, and that even if he can play that sort of role, especially when we play the bigger teams, just to have an outlet, like someone to target to get us up the pitch, and if he can just hold it up and play off people like Mbumo, then I think he'll be a good addition. But yeah, he's the only one who's not currently at Brentford who is due to come in the summer.
I didn't know whether you signed a winger as well. I might have been someone else that I was thinking.
You might be thinking of Nusa.
Noosa, yeah.
Yeah, he's also Club Brugge. So some Brentford fans are saying, did we just, when we found out that wasn't working, did we just go for the other bloke up front? But there was a whole thing about him failing a medical, but according to Club Brugge and his national team, he was completely fine. But apparently Brentford saw something in the medical, and there was something Brentford were worried about. So in the end, we didn't go ahead with it. But yeah, he's being monitored by Tottenham and various other
He's
teams.
a good player. We
it
was
might be
linked to
something
him as
we'll
well.
regret.
That's why I knew.
Yeah,
we was actually.
I wouldn't trust our
well.
medical team after the season we've had anyway.
You never know, but it looks like you're all lined up. And like you say, if you get a big fee for Tony, you've already got that sense forward coming in, so you probably have a bit of spare for Mope. And I don't think we would have put down a big fee. We got him for we paid 5 million down and got him for 15 million. So I'd probably say you probably have a deal where you get him for under 10. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I think
but
he
has played well for you, hasn't he? So that's one good thing on our part, that he has, like, for me, I said to a lot of Everton fans, because we wasn't a fan of him, we really wasn't. So we are, just because you're not a fan of him, you doesn't mean you want him to go away and do crap. You want him to go away and do well, so we can get the move that's best for him. Because, like you said, he's not an Everton player, but he has
he's
to
not
fit
a
into
player,
your
I don't
system
think,
a
like
lot
any
better.
of his teams over the years. I don't think he'd fit into his Burnley team. I assume he wasn't signed by Sean Dyche. I assume it was before that.
No, it was Lampard, wasn't it? It was just like a last minute thing to do.
Deadline day kind of thing, I reckon. Yeah, he just always looked like a toddler running around the pitch against grown men. He just never seemed to be able to get anywhere quick enough.
We got him on deadline day too, so I think we were in for other strikers. I don't think he was our first choice, but I think we knew he was an option, and we knew he was a more affordable option compared to some of our other targets that we missed out on. And I think we see him as a squad player. We don't see him as someone who's going to lead our line for the next 5 years.
Yeah, he seems to be Odin Wingy, just hanging around Brentford or Everton on deadline day. To be honest, that's the way it seems to go. So, I mean, you guys aren't a bad side at all. Just sort of looking at your results from turn of New Year. You've lost 7 games between now and since New Year and now, but the games you've lost have been away at Spurs 3-2, home against City 3-1, Liverpool home 4-1, away at City 1-0, 4-2 against West Ham away, Arsenal away. Probably the only one that you would look back and be annoyed at would be Burnley away, where you had a man sent off.
Red card right at the beginning and gave away a penalty. So
exactly.
happens, isn't it?
So those defeats are by no means, bad defeats, if you like, in sort of the whole scheme of things. So I think it's unusual that you've stayed as close to us as you actually are.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at our wider form dating back till, I think, around November, December time, when we lost Mbumo to injury, I think that was the one that really sparked the decline. I think there's a stat out there with our number of wins with him in the team and without him in the team. I mean, there was a point in this season where we didn't have both fullbacks. We didn't have Brian Mbumo. Obviously, Ivan Toney was still banned. Wissa went off to AFCON. We had lots of problems around that time, and our wider form from about November till probably February, March was very bad. It was very bad, but
lost 7 and 8, but you beat Luton, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, that was around December, wasn't it? Yeah, I think Luton's a weird one because I see them compete against everyone else, but in our 2 games against them, they were very, very poor. And I think they didn't turn up in either game against Brentford. So I've not really seen the real Luton this season.
No, we have, unfortunately.
Yeah, they beat us twice. It wasn't that you was poor. It was that you was amazing and they couldn't play. Give yourself credit for that.
Last week, definitely were brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, the game, one of our worst games this season was actually probably Everton. Our place, I thought we were very bad that day, really poor. I think there's been times this season where we've actually played okay and not really got the results, but yeah, I think we were really poor in that Everton game earlier this season.
No, it was a good game for us, and we needed that game badly. You was unbeaten in lows, like I say, and I said it's a good time to play you. I prefer to play a team when they're in good form because I feel like there's a good chance on the form changing. Some people think it's going to keep going, but I always think form comes to an end. Both in good form here, so it will come to an end. We are going to get you people in the comments now. We're going to get Daniel to do his lineup. So we want you to give us your lineup, and we'll put it on the screen as you go to give us a rough idea of what we're going to come up against. Paul, you'll be able to chuck that in, won't you? The lineup, what he's going to go for, and we'll chuck it in the screen. We'll chuck it on the screen for people in the comments and stuff to see what you do, and then me and Paul will do our lineup. We'll get lineup predictions from people in the comments. And let's get to business and see what we're coming up against here.
Yeah, so we'll go 4-3-3. Stick with our back 4, and I really hope Thomas Frank doesn't somehow decide he needs to go back to back 5 again. Flecken in goal. He started the season. Obviously, he replaced David Raya, who was another one we lost last summer. But he started the season quite poorly. People were very unsure about him, but more recently, I think those 2 Manchester City games, he was brilliant. And in the last few months, he's really, really come into himself. And his ability with the ball at his feet, I think that's one of the key reasons we signed him. I think because obviously that was also David Raya's strength, and it really helped us out. So I think it will be Christopher Ayer at right back. Obviously, we've had a bit of a problem with fullbacks this year. We've been missing Rico Henry all year and Aaron Hickey, our normal right back as well. Christopher Ayer is probably a centre-back by trade, but he's been playing a lot of right back recently, and I think he fills in well there. Nathan Collins will be our first centre-back. Again, he's a summer signing from last season. He was, again, we used to say that he either has a 10 out of 10 or he's absolutely terrible. He's been prone to a few errors this season. But again, more recently, he's not made an error in a while, so maybe he's due one. But He's been pretty good recently. And then Pinnock will be the other centre back. He made his first start.
Who's the players that you've got out then? So you say Tony is not available?
I don't know about Tony this week, so it's been a bit weird with him. Ben Mee, no, Ben Mee's not available. He won't be until the end of the season. But in all honesty, with Ben Mee, I think his time is up a bit. I think he's slowing down a bit. So I think people like Nathan Collins, Christopher Ayer as a future going forward. But yeah, Ethan Pinnock played his first game back last week, scored. I think he's by far our best defender, and we really missed him without him in the team. Left back will have Reguilon, who is making us not miss Rico Henry so much. So we signed him on loan in January, which is just a very convenient 6-month thing. Whilst Rico Henry's out for the season, he needed football. We needed a left back, so it really worked. And his attacking output going forward, his crossing is brilliant. I think if you combined Rico Henry's defensive ability with him going forward and his crossing ability, then you'd have the perfect left back. In the middle there, I'd go Norgard, provided he's fit. This would be his first start back, but he came on as a sub last week, so I'm hoping he'll be fit for the game tomorrow. He's our captain when he is fit. So again, solid. And then either side, I'd go Jensen.
Left or right in particular?
No, you can stick him there. It's fine. Jensen, he's like our playmaker in the team, really. Again, he's one of my more favourite players, and it'll be a Danish trio, probably. Damsgaard, I'd go on the right of the three. Again, he's one that we signed at the start of last season, and you might know him as being the guy that scored the free kick against England in the Euros semi-final, literally 3 years ago now. And that is where he kind of shot to fame. I think after that competition, he was linked with crazy moves, and then I think he actually spent the next season injured, so his price went down. We signed him, and it took him a long time to get into his stride, but the last 3-4 games he's been playing, and he's been absolutely brilliant. You might find that Yanelt plays instead of one of those midfield three, but I'd go with those three there. I'd say Mbumo on the right of the front three. Now, I think he's the attacker that we would miss the most if we didn't have him. And a lot of people from the outside would probably say it's Ivan Toney, but I think he's really the one. I'll be a bit controversial. I'll put Wissa in the middle. Even if Tony's fit, I think I'd go with Wissa, because to me, we're planning for next season now. And obviously, Tony doesn't want to be at Brentford. I don't think he will be at Brentford next season. So I don't really see why we need to be, making space for him. And Wissa scored twice at Luton last week. First goal was brilliant. Top corner, first touch from Mbumo's pass. I just don't think he deserves to come out of the team. And also, I don't know. Tony's been a weird one. He was on the bench against Brighton and Villa. He came on for 10 minutes at the end against Villa. But Thomas Frank says the reason why he wasn't starting because he has a slight hip issue. And then last week, he wasn't even on the bench. So
you don't want him injured, do you? I mean,
no,
you don't want him break his leg or anything in a nothing game now. So
yeah,
I mean, playing really.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Frank still supports him very much in public. No doubt, on his day, he can be a brilliant striker. I'm not saying he's not. He's obviously a very different profile to Wissa as well. Obviously, for his personal reasoning, he will want to get into that England squad in the summer.
Yeah,
he's probably competing with Ollie Watkins. So I don't think it helps him at all if he's not playing at the moment, and he'd probably want to get in the team again very soon. But on the left there, I'd go Lewis Potter.
Yeah. He's
you know what, though? That's crazy because Tony's quite good against Everton. I often remember our centre back struggling with him because he's a bit of a shitbag, and he has scored a couple of goals against us. And it's crazy because you don't want him to get injured, but then you need to win this game to ensure safety. Now, I know we're both nearly safe, and we could be safe without even winning a game from now. But you still need to win this game. We need to win it. And it's crazy that you could be leaving Tony out, how good he is. But like you say, when he's worth that much money, and against Everton, who are a very physical side, when he comes up against Brantwaite and Tarkowski, he could get injured. So it's just a predicament there, isn't it? It really is. You don't know what to do there. But
yeah, well, I think our
we're
front
gonna play.
three, I think we sometimes play differently without Tony, and sometimes that could be a positive. I think that front three is more fluid. They'll interchange in their positions. That they've all got a bit of pace. They'll be quite difficult to handle. I mean, Luton last week couldn't handle those three. I think with Ivan Toney, it's a different kind of style. I think, we might go a bit longer. He will hold it up, and then the other two are kind of running behind. I think if Tony did play, he might move Wisser out to the left and drop Lewis Potter, but I prefer Wisser up the middle. And I think Lewis Potter deserves game time, because Lewis Potter's one of those who was stuck out at left wing back for a lot of the season when we didn't have fullbacks and before we got Reguilon on loan, and it just didn't get the best out of him. But every time we've seen him in that front three on the left, he also scored last week. I thought he's looked extremely positive, and again, he's one like Damsgaard, who's taken a bit of time to get going in this team. He was very good for Hull in the Championship before we signed him, but again, more recently, he's starting to come into his own, and I want to see him get a run of games now alongside Damsgaard to see what they can do over a sustained period of time.
I watch quite a lot of football, and I have watched Brentford a lot. Don't know, that must have been on TV quite a lot. But I know quite a bit about your team. Now, Wisser, he is rapid, like proper rapid he is. And I rate him quite highly. He reminds me, this is probably going to be the worst comparison ever just because it's me, but he reminds me of Son a little bit. He's just everywhere, isn't he? Like,
I think he's probably the best finisher.
Burst of speed.
I think he's the best
really
finisher at the club, and I would include Ivan Toney in that. I think if you put him in one-on-one, his finishing ability is there. He does sometimes have
get the
games
credit though, does he, Dan? He doesn't get I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves.
No,
because he's
not
really good.
Yeah, he does find himself on the bench sometimes. He's not, and Mbumo is always in the team, but Wisser's not always there. And as you said that, if you think he's fast, there's a guy called Kevin Sharder who'll be on the bench and he'll probably come on with about 20 minutes to go. He is absolutely rapid. He's even quicker than Wisser.
Hopefully we're 7-0 up by them. I'm hoping that we're 7-0 up by them. Two players there that you've got. Damsgaard, I loved him when you got him, and I thought, wow, what a signing. And Lewis Potter as well, another one that was about when we had Anthony Gordon. I always remember him. He was like on prospect with Anthony Gordon when we had him. Don't want to talk about Anthony Gordon, but there was both kind of in the England under-21s together and doing really well. So they haven't peaked, have they? They've got loads of potential, but haven't hit peak. And what you're saying now, you think you need to put them in and find that ability that they have.
Yeah, I think Damsgaard. So last season, he had one really good game against Fulham at home, but there's been other times where he's played and he's just not got into the game. I think physically he had to do a bit of getting up to scratch because he was injured for basically a whole year before he signed for Brentford. And obviously both of those two haven't always been regulars in the team. So when you're coming in and out, it's also a bit difficult. They both also had small periods injured during their time at Brentford. But more recently, Damsgaard has started probably the last 4 or 5 games now. And he's been our best player in probably 2 or 3 of those games. So he's coming into his own. And he still hasn't scored yet since that goal in the Euros, if you could believe it. But he did score what I thought was a perfectly good goal.
Don't say that because he'll score against us now. You said that. We break those sort of things we do.
Yeah, he came very close last week. And before that, he did actually score. And it got ruled out for someone else allegedly making a foul on a defender. But we won't talk about VAR. I don't think it was a foul. And I think he should have scored. But it's coming for him. And Lewis Potter, again, I think when he's looked like getting into momentum, he's been stuck at left back. And that's not how you bring the best out of him.
That's what a waste. What a waste that is, because I watched you against Luton. And I know it's Luton. And I know you battered them. But a lot of that came from Potter on the left, just coming inside and creating things. So
yeah,
he's decent. He's decent.
Yeah, we had a massive problem because before we got Reguilon in January, we had Rico Henry, obviously is our normal left back out. Aaron Hickey is 2-footed, so he would cover on the left if Henry was injured. He was injured. And then so Yanelt, who's a central midfielder, would play there sometimes, and then Lewis Potter would play there sometimes. It would be in the back five, so they'd have a bit more protection. But when he has to focus on going backwards and he can't express himself as much going forward, it's a lot harder for to get the best out of him. And I think in that front three, you'll start to see the best of him. And I agree. I thought he was very good last week, and if he refines his game a bit more and just gets a run in the team, he'll only get better, I think.
Right, we are going to move on to our lineup, but one question that Paul's got for you that I know he's got for you that I'm surprised he hasn't asked already. Go on, Paul. Ask him. Drop it on him. Let's find out.
Of our lads, who is our weakest player that you hope plays? Where are Brentford going to put most of their attack to make sure that they do us over tomorrow?
I bet I know what a lot of people say. I bet a lot of people say that Ashley Young might be lacking a bit of pace in his older age.
Every week.
And the likes of Mbumo maybe could get at him. Obviously, I watched that Forest game last week, and I know they were crying about it, but obviously he did struggle sometimes in defensive situations, which could have led to, perhaps giving away
Emma agrees
3 penalties. Yeah, I mean, again, those front three can be quite dynamic. They can, interchange with each other. They're all quite tricky. They're all quite quick. So if you've got, maybe fullbacks that aren't, able to manage that, then that could be a way of getting out Everton.
What about you, Dan? Now, you just said what our weakness is on that lineup that you just put on. Would you say Reguilón?
Not going forward. I think defensively he's perhaps not as good as Rico Henry, for example. I think there has been some lapses defensively. I think as a team, something we've generally struggled with this season, I think we've conceded by far the most in the league from crosses, particularly at the far post. And I think that was more of an issue when we just didn't have fullbacks at all. So now, at least now we have some kind of semblance of fullbacks. And that does worry me a bit against Everton, because I know that they, the likes of Calvert-Lewin, would love those situations. So that I am a bit cautious of those situations, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if we can see a goal from across tomorrow. So that's probably what I'm most worried about. But in terms of individuals, because we've got kind of everyone back now, there's no one I would say that I don't really fancy in that team. But I wouldn't have said that a few weeks ago. I think it's just because players are back now, and the ones I don't fancy so much I've got on the bench.
Hold on, let me just make a phone call. Hold on. Yep, Sean. Yep, Dice, you're right, mate. He just said they don't like long balls. Yeah, they'll struggle with balls in the air, Dice. Yeah, go full long ball. Hit them with the long balls, Dice. I've just told him now. Do not worry. We found out the weakness on Dan. We are hitting you with long balls now. He's worried about the long balls, and that's our game. I don't know. Like, you're right back out of position as well is something that I looked at then. I know you say he's played well there, but it's players out of position can be we've got one that's out of position, but
to be honest, I'm not sure if he will eventually mold into a right back. I mean, he's a relatively young player. I think he was signed as a centre back. He's probably played most of his games at centre back, but in a way, I kind of prefer him at right back. I think he's very good on the ball. He's also quite tall, which you don't need to be for a right back, but he'll help win duels out there. You've also got Maz Roslev, who sometimes plays at right back, and he is a right back, but I would say there's probably more weaknesses in his game than Chris Ajer. So I would go with Ajer at right back, and we did last week as well. But you have got an out-and-out right back on the bench, and he could play. There's a chance.
It is interesting. Right, we'll drop our lineup now, Paul. What I'm going to do, Paul, is I'm going to get you to put your lineup in, and then I'll just have a little fiddle to think what I think on top. We'll kind of do a joint one here, Paul, because we'll move this on from the lineups. Okay. I kind of know what lineup I want. So I think ours will be very similar. Very, very similar. But we'll see. Drop your lineup in, Paul, and then we'll get the lineups. We can see your lineups in the comments. If you haven't already put your lineups in the comments, get your lineups in, because we do like to read them out and see what you're thinking, see whether we're on the same wavelength. If you haven't hit that like button yet, hit like on the stream. I know sometimes you forget to do it, but I want to come off this and see loads of likes. And if you can subscribe, I mean, we've managed to get up quite a lot just lately. We're on 81, 681 or something like that. So it is going up quite rapidly. Let's get to 700 and then crack on from that. Right, let's have a look, see what Paul's doing here. Boston Mourinho.
Yeah, that's basically that formation. I mean, some of it'll depend on Mikalenko, questionable. I mean,
He's
God,
out.
did you see
He's
it?
out,
Is he out? Is he?
Yeah,
Did you
definitely.
see
He's
it when he
bad one,
landed?
yeah.
I've done that before, and it bloody hurts. So
I did him a nice shot, like saying, "Get better."
Yeah. Sometimes it can look worse than it is. I mean, good on him for playing an extra 10 minutes, gets to half time, to be honest. But otherwise, has Dyche said anything about Beto?
Yeah,
Saying that
Beto's out as well.
he's
He
out.
didn't look good, did
Coleman,
he, in that game last week?
Yeah, it was scary.
Coleman
Very
out.
scary.
Coleman out with groin injury.
Yep, Coleman's out.
Dobbins still out. Nathan Patterson's out.
Dobbins out.
So
Patterson's out.
We're slightly
Dele Alli's out.
one or two options. It means that what will happen is that Young will come in on the left, I'd imagine. I'd be surprised if it was anything different. I think Godfrey, played well Wednesday.
This is something that we would have feared, Paul, but with us using this in the derby and it working, because we would have said before the derby that Godfrey right back, no, and we would have said Ashley Young left back, no, but Young coming left back for the whole of the second half and did the job there, and Godfrey did the job right back for the whole game. So it's changed our opinion on this a little bit to what we would normally say.
A touch. I mean, if you look at the table as well, and you sort of take the whole situation into context, we don't have to go all out for a win. And I know, I think we will win, but if we do, I think it'll be tight anyway. But a draw's not the worst result in the world. All we need to do is stay up, really. And if Luton lose, I think we need a draw. So it's going to be that kind of focus, and that's okay to do, to be honest. That's why I'd go for Garner.
You're right.
In the middle. Same with James Garner. I like him to get on the score sheet. I haven't seen that lawnmower celebration yet. We got promised yet. Decore in front of them. No surprises from that aspect. McNeil again, absolute workhorse, genius on the left. Great goal as well against Forest. I'd love him to. He's starting to get the taste for it again, isn't he? Now shooting from long range and
I've seen a couple of
target.
videos of him scoring against them as well, Paul. I think he scored against Brentford, didn't he? That video's been going around.
He did.
So
that
makes you feel good.
And actually, I thought Wednesday was probably Harrison's best game that he's played for us.
Definitely.
Against Liverpool, so there's no
agree.
reason for him not to be there, and you can't take number 9 out of form anyway, even if Beto was fit. The tap's open now, isn't it? The tap's open.
Well, I found it really interesting when I listened to the actual interview. I don't know if some might have missed it, but on the actual interview, Calvert-Lewin had the best game he's ever had in that derby, in my opinion. But Dyche said that he was ill. And that he was massively in contention not to play, and that he was playing with an illness, like a bug or something like that. So the performance that he put in with the bug that he had, and he said that he's still got it now, but he should be okay. So Calvert-Lewin, he's got a bug. He's playing with a bug, but he's still managing to put a game in like that. But yeah, the tap is open. Yeah. You know what, Paul? Seriously, can't change that, mate.
That's me anyway.
Can't change that.
No. I mean, there's not a lot of options, to be fair. Not a lot of options. I mean, Anana.
Dan Juma could come in, but I don't think Dan Juma's going to come in over Harrison or McNeil.
No, I can't see it.
Onana could come in there. That's over. But Garner Gay's been fantastic, and James Garner, he earned his stripes last game finally. So there ain't much you could change, unless we went like 3 centre backs. Then it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Changes a lot of things, but
I can't see
No,
us doing
I'm
that
with that.
against Brentford's 4-3-3. So
No.
we've not got a lot of choices, to be honest. Daniel, we've got a regular called Emma, which we love, and she always gives us her lineup via emoji.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
so she's a massive fan of Pickford with the peach.
Paul, you should nail this now.
I
'Cause
know
you've got
it's
better
been
memory
that
than
many
me.
times. I mean,
You're above me because you should know. Like, she was disappointed in you last time. She didn't know.
so
I
Pickford's
got
the
no chance.
peach. Pickford's the
Peachy bum.
peach. That's Garner, the ex-Red Devil, as far as I'm aware. So she might have Garner right back. We've then got Tarkovsky and Branthwaite, or the other way around. We've
No,
got
it's Ashley Young right back.
Ashley Young.
Ex Red Devil. Yeah.
Oh,
because,
he's ex-Red Devil as well, isn't he?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've seen the Big Ben Godfrey on the left there, so that's the reason I know that.
Big Ben Godfrey, and then Harry's son. There after that, and then
Yeah,
we've
that's a good one.
got Garner Gay, and I don't know what is that in between Decore and Garner Gay.
We had this last time, but I don't know what that
We
is. I said it was
did.
Punky.
There you are. No Jimmy. Yeah, Garner right back. And you said I did.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I knew I was rubbish, didn't I? This is why I don't play.
Tazil's not been watching enough. He doesn't know who the aubergine is. That's McNeil. You have to be following Everton social media to know why that's McNeil. Is this... Who's this then?
Jack. Cowboy Jack, I said, didn't I? Well, I don't think it is. Is it?
Who's
Jack
the
Harrison.
flag? I think Harrison is Harry's son. Is someone's son there?
Oh yeah, that is Harry's son.
I can't remember who the flag is.
Dukes, like the Dukes into the hat is like the Cowboy Dukes or something like you said. Remember last time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mummy's boy, that's right. Blue says that Muscle's from Brussels, so maybe she's got an Anna in. We should know by now.
That is hard.
Apologise. We've got DCL up front with his hand on his head, just because of missing a chance or two, or three, or four, or five, or six, but not anymore. Who's the one with the cowboy hat?
Dukes, that one, isn't it?
Dukes, yeah,
Duke,
of course.
the cowboy,
Duke.
yeah.
Duke. There you go.
Duke.
So there we go.
And then Calvert Lewin.
So
we got it.
We've got
to get better. We've got to get better. We have got to get better. That's not easy, though, to be fair, because I always forget. And then I have to start with a fresh brain.
True enough. So are you happy with what you've got there? Can't change
exactly the same lineup as you, Paul. Let's get the comments up and see what they've got to see if it's dissimilar to what we put on the screen. I'm presuming. I mean, with that basically winning the derby, I'm presuming it's got to be roughly the same. I'll ask you, Dan, in a minute what you think of it, but let's get these lineups on the screen, what they've got. See
Jamie said that he wouldn't change the team from the derby apart from Young coming in for Mikolenko. So yeah, that's basically what we've got there. Lulu agrees with it. We did Emma's. You know what though? I could have swore I saw someone put another one in.
Yeah, there was one.
Even been 3-5-2. Yeah, he's the Blues.
Can't miss Blues.
He loves his 3-5-2s.
I knew he'd have a 3-5-2. Doesn't surprise me.
I tell you what, you just work that while I get on here and change this formation.
He's got 3-5-2. The Blues has got. He's got Pickford in goals. Godfrey, Tarky, Branthwaite. It can work. Garner on the, I presume, right hand side. Adressa, Garner, Gay, Onana, Gomez, McNeil on the left, Danjuma and DCL. And you know what? It's a really good formation. It's a good team. And it's good that we have got these options that we can change it. It scares me because we could be in denial. We could literally think that because Godfrey and Young have been good last game, that they're going to be good again. You've got to trust them. But we know they haven't been good for a lot of games, and that might have been a one-off. So we're in two minds here. We're saying, right, was your last game luck, or have you become good now? That's what I'm thinking as a fan now. I mean, what's your threats on players, Danny? What are
I
you
think
liking that we've
Everton.
got?
I think Everton have a good, solid defense, like core in defence. Obviously, Brentford
Oh,
fans know a lot about Tarkowski. He played for us for a period. He didn't leave in the best of circumstances, so Brentford fans aren't too keen on him now. But yeah, obviously he's a very good centre back. Jared Brantthwaite's come on a lot this season. I'm sure Everton have kept a lot of clean sheets for a team that's in the bottom half. I think that's probably one of Everton's strengths. So I think it will be tough to break down. I think Brentford in general struggle against Sean Dyche teams. I think even back when he was Burnley manager, I think Thomas Frank's always struggled against Sean Dyche teams. So I think there's a strong core there. I remember early in the season, I think Decore was on. Like I didn't realise that he could score as many goals as he did earlier on in the season. I think he might have gone a bit quiet on the goals front more recently. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin, when he's on form, we know what he can be. Several years ago, I think we probably saw the best of him. But as he probably showed the other night, he's still got that in him somewhere. So there's obviously danger. And obviously, Calvert-Lewin's one of those strikers, like I said earlier, that if you put crosses in, that's what he wants and that's what he'll feed off. And I can just hope now Pinnock's back, that Pinnock will follow him around and try and deal with him that way.
It's, like you say, we have picked up now. We've got good players, but the problem is you hit the nail on the head. We have been good defensively, but we haven't been able to put the ball in the back of the net. And that's been our problem all season. If you look at our XG, it's been amazing. Our performances have been good, but it all means nothing if you don't score goals, doesn't it? And we haven't been scoring goals. Finally, we've been finding the back of the net. That's a good team, that is. I do like what the Blues has done there in the comments. Paul's gave you a little shout out there on your team. It's good. I like it. It's a way of going around things with missing defenders. I like it. There is
You
another
might
one on
dominate
the
the
screen
midfield
as
more
well.
with that formation.
say again, Daniel.
You might
Just saying,
dominate the
what was
midfield
that?
more with that formation because
Well,
obviously you're
yeah, I
packing
know.
all of
I would kind of worry a little bit with your three lads up front. That's all. But we defend deep enough, so it ends up being a 5 anyway. So like Blue said, it's going to be a different game, and the derby will be encouraged to push out a little bit more. We hardly had the ball against Liverpool, really. We just we actually took chances. Oh my God, that felt so weird that we actually took chances, but it happened. So, why not again? Tadul came
I think
in.
you hit the nail on the head there, Paul, on what you said. I mean, I know this looks good, but the thing that scares me is often when we stopped playing this formation because it worked and then it didn't work, Dan. But I just see with those three centre backs there, us getting caught on the counter and having your three attackers on them. Do you know what I mean? Like McBurn and frigging all the players, Potter, running at them at fast speed. And I think you could catch us out. I think that a 4-4-1-1 is a lot more solid and compact, where we can't get caught out that much on the counter, because you're very good at the counter when I've watched you.
Yeah, I think you'd need, if you're going to play three at the back, I think you'd also need wing backs. So when we've got the ball, that can sit defensively. And looking at McNeil and Garner, I'm not sure either of those are natural wing backs. It might be a bit like us playing Lewis Potter, a left wing back.
Yeah, Potter would fancy himself against Godfrey as well, I reckon, to be honest. I know Godfrey's in good spirits because of the derby, but he can be turned. He definitely can be turned. He can definitely go on the inside of Godfrey, to be honest. Tazul had to go at saying Godfrey, Tarky, Brantwaite, Young, left back, Gomez, Garner Gay, James Garner, Harrison on the right, McNeil left, DCL up top.
No, people could put anything on the screen and I'd probably like it, to be fair. I don't mind people that change it around. I'm kind of sticking because I feel that they performed good enough to give them another chance. And it worked, didn't it, against Liverpool, who was a decent win. It was a decent win. So I'm game for sticking. be interesting to see what he does. Could bring Onana in. There's a couple of players you can mix about. He can't do much in defence, but we've got quite a few centre midfielders that you can move about. Garner can move on the wings. So there's a lot of stuff you can do to kind of cover it in the pool. There is a lot of options for Dyche to
I think so.
move people about to cover it.
It's good that we haven't got a big squad by any means at all, but we have got players who can play in a few different positions. So that's massive. Dyche is always like that, really. Moyes was like that. He liked players who could play across the back or could play midfield and full back and things like that. So it does help. It does help. Yeah, it's only slight difference, isn't it? Slight difference, and it might be, some parts of the game we might be pushing forward, but hopefully we get the first goal. I remember, I think actually it was a goal when McNeil scored last season at home after about 34 seconds or something, and the game ended 1-0, I think, because we just defended for the whole 90 minutes. So.
There's some big battles here, some big battles all over the pitch, and you've got some good attacking players that we've got to stop, and we've got some good attacking players that you've got to. I'm really excited for this game. I really am. I like your manager as well. When I spoke about managers, I've always gave your manager a shout out. Like, obviously Dyche, we've been up and down with him, probably just because the Premier League deducted us points, which made us more stressed than what we needed to be. But we was just like, Dyche hadn't won in 10 games, so you stress, don't you, when your manager hasn't won in that many games, 10 plus. So we was all getting stressed. You start thinking about managers, and I like your manager. I think he's done very well. He's doing very good, and he's a good manager. So he's one to watch for tactics as well, because every time I watch Brentford, Dan, you always go for it. I don't know how, but you get the ball up the pitch, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
I think we adapt.
Yeah, you do.
I think we adapt. I mean, in terms of Thomas Frank, he's been Brentford manager now for 5-6 years. So I barely remember the time now, but it would be weird if he wasn't our manager anymore. And before that, he was part of the backroom staff for a couple of years. And he actually did lose. I think it was like 10 of his first 11 games as Brentford boss. And a lot of teams would have cut it there. But we stuck with him, and obviously he's come on this journey with us now. So I think he leaves when he chooses to leave at this stage. But yeah, he does tend to adapt. He's not afraid of adapting to the opposition. He's not one of those managers that will just play the same way all the time. I think particularly last season, I think that's the reason why we got such good results against some of the big six. Like we did double against City. We've beaten all of them in our time in the Premier League. And that's because he's not afraid to adapt. And even when we do go with that back five and we sit in a low block because we know someone like Man City is going to have all the ball and they're going to put us under pressure, we do look to, either go long to a target man if we've got someone like Ivan Toney up front, or, try and get it in the channels or get in behind to our attackers, who can hopefully get on the counter, because the likes of Mbumo, that's what they thrive on. That's what they're good at.
Just so confident in moving the ball about sometimes. I think that's the thing. You just move it about so well to get the ball up the pitch. You trust your players, don't you? That's one thing I do see, is that you seem to trust your players.
Yeah, I think what we wanted to do this season, I think we wanted to slightly get on the ball a bit more this year. But I think those plans went out the window a bit in like October when we was just losing players every week and we went back to about 5. But I think that's what he wants to start to do. Start to dominate games, start to dominate possession a bit more. I thought Luton, we played some great football last week, but obviously there will be tougher challenges ahead. And I think Thomas Frank wants to see us start to dominate the ball a bit more and start to control games a bit more. But I think that will come. That will come in time. I think the teams that come up and try to do that straight away are the teams that end up going straight back down because they're not quite good enough yet. So yeah, he's not afraid to mix it up and he's not afraid to go long if we need to. But yeah, he also encourages them to play if we can and if momentum's on our side.
So Daniel, are you Brentford fans just happy surviving? Is that the plan, and just see where you go to? Is that just the general?
Yeah, I mean, I think every season the first objective is to survive, and then you see where you're at halfway through the season. Like last season, for example, we only ended up a point behind Villa, who obviously got into the Conference League and look at the journey they're on now. So, last year there were, we were quite excited because we were in that battle, but I think we know that that's not going to be the case every year. Obviously, we'd love that to be the case, but I think the bare minimum is, make sure you have survival. And then once you've got that, see where you are. Obviously, this season, it doesn't look like we can beat 14th, really. So that's where we're looking at this season, which is fine. I think injuries you've had is fine. We've still probably got one of the lowest budgets, one of the lowest wage bills. I think every year, if you really look at the league, any one of, the bottom 12, 13 probably could go down. I don't think Leicester fans last year thought they would be going down, but they did. So I think that's always got to be the first objective.
Yeah, straight back up. They'll probably be in the same boat. Although the Blues does mention, wonder if Leicester are going to start with minus.
I think they will. I think that's already been decided. I think
it is something or other, isn't it? So
yeah, that's good for me. Like one team that we might end above.
It's probably
it's nice
your
other
biggest...
people get deducted instead of us for a change.
I know, yeah. I can't believe it's normally just us. This is probably, I would say, looking at you, I might be wrong here. If you do put the money back in that you're going to get for Tony, I know you're not sold him yet, but it looks like the way he talks on social media that he's definitely going, which I think is rude, to be honest, to talk about a team that you're playing for like you've already gone, which he's done when he's come back. I thought you a bit harsh there. But yeah, I think that if you are to get a big sum for him, I think Tony's worth a lot of money, by the way, and I think teams will pay it. And if you are to sell him for 80, 90 million, I don't know what the price tag will be. It's going to be the biggest rebuild if the money goes back in that you've had in a very, very long time. So you need to spend that money.
It won't be that much. It won't be that much because
I don't think that.
He's got a year on his contract, so that plays a part.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think it'll probably be around 40, maybe, which is what we'll end up at. But I think Arsenal also haven't paid us a Raya yet because he's actually on loan, but they will buy him, so we'll get the money for him. So yeah, I think we have room to move, and obviously I know some teams in the league with all these deductions and things going around, they feel like they don't have room to move, depending on their financial state. So I think we're one of the teams that will be able to move in the summer. We'll be able to get a few in, but I don't expect us to spend extortionate amounts. We seem to be breaking our transfer records slowly every summer. I think it stands at about 25 million now. I think the new guy actually in the summer is about to break it again. So we are building up. I think we've got a very good core at the moment, but we need a bit more depth. So if we get any sort of injury struggles again next season, we've got more able replacements to come in. But I think that comes again with time in the Premier League.
I think you do well.
Yeah. No, I think you'll do all right as well. I like Brentford a lot. What you do, I like the way you play football. And like you say, you financially, you're doing it right. You're in budget and stuff like that. So when you do get this money, whatever you get, likely you're going to be able to spend it. Whereas when we get money for Brantwaite, Brantwaite's worth about 500 million. When we get money for him, we probably won't be able to spend it. We'll probably get it nicked by Mashiri. I don't know. But yeah, Brantwaite's got a big price tag. I don't want him to go. I've already had that conversation a few times today. I love him. But yeah, it's going to be scary for us. So we'll talk about that when we actually face it. Right, this is the big news. This is where Dan and Dan fall out on the channel here. This is the big part. Now, we said we'd go under an hour. We will finish after this score prediction, people. It's just so much to talk about sometimes. It's good to get an insight on Brentford. That's the thing, Dan. Like, we've let you talk because generally it's nice to see what the opposition fan says about their club. Gives you a complete, proper insight of how you're feeling. And I don't mind Brentford. I really don't. But here we go. Let's drop a bit of music. Hit that like and subscribe, people. Get on it. Score predictions is coming. Normally where I take my top off that music and start swinging it around when we beat the Coppers. But there you go. We ain't even won this game yet, so I can't celebrate. Right, this is big. This is. People, get your score predictions in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe. You need to get behind us if we're going to do well on this channel. Paul Foster, I'm going to go you first.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I was going to last because I just like more time under pressure. But I'm going to go you first.
Yeah.
Dan, if you hit us with what you think, mate, don't be nice to us. Then I'm going to go you, Dan, and I'm going to do mine. Score predictions, people.
I think Brentford are a decent side, keep the ball well. I think they've got some decent, quick, young players. Mikolenko missing could be a factor. We put our absolute all in 2 games from the Sunday and then the Wednesday even more so. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were a bit knackered, to be honest. I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to do a Blues thing and be conservative. I think we're going to go 1-1.
Ooh,
yeah. And that you know what though, I'm not. That's not a bad result that at all. That's not a bad result. And also as well, if Luton lose, are they away at Wolves? I think they're away at Wolves, aren't they?
Yeah.
So if Luton lose, So and then are we happy with a draw? I think and both sides are quite happy. It wouldn't surprise me then that kind of takes the whole mood of the evening down a notch. But I think both sides are capable of scoring. So 1-1 for me, decent game, respect all round. I'll probably say Lewis Potter for you. And actually, for them to score first. That's where we get our positive from. So Potter to score for them first, and then DCL to score for us. Make it 1-1. Happy with that.
Paul's prediction 1-1 Potter, and then we get one back. The Blues has commented there. I think the Blues has gone draw. We will get them on the screen in a minute. I want to see your score predictions, people. Get them in the comments. Right, Dan, this is on you. So we are that sad that we do like your goal scorers as well. We go specific.
Yeah,
so
that's fine. Yeah.
Scorer and goal scorers. What you got for me? What's he going to say?
I don't think that there'll be many goals in the game, to be honest. I don't think that... I think obviously Everton are quite solid at the back. Thomas Frank likes to instill principles into Brentford that we're solid at the back. It sometimes hasn't worked this season, but it's one of the main things he likes to focus on. And I think we pin it back there. I think we will be a bit more solid at the back. I do think that Everton-Liverpool game the other night probably has taken a lot out of the Everton players, not just physically, but also emotionally. The whole occasion of beating your big rivals at home for the first time in, I don't know how long it was, but I think it was,
not that long. It was only like the other day. You know what I mean?
But I do think that does have an effect on players, and I do think perhaps this applies to both teams. I do think both teams might play a bit freer, knowing that they've much less pressure on this game than there probably would have been a few weeks ago. So that might make for a nicer game as well. But I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford. We'll go 2-0 up, and Everton will pull one back. We do have a thing of, and I think we lead the league in this as well, is points drops on winning positions. So even if we went ahead, I think we would, even if we still go on to win the game, I think we will have a nervy few minutes towards the end. So yeah, I think 2-0, 2-1. I'll go with Mbeumo and Lewis Potter for Brentford. We'll go 2-0 ahead, and then Everton will score a header from a cross. I don't know whether to go for one of your centre backs or Calvert-Lewin. I'll go Calvert-Lewin, but it could also be one of your centre backs from a corner or some kind of situation like that. But that's how I think Everton will get their goal.
No, you was always going to say a set piece, wasn't you, on our goal? So he's gone 2-1. I actually thought he was going to go with Paul and go a draw there. But no, he's gone to beat us, Paul. He's gone to beat us.
He played so well,
hasn't he?
Did we just see that?
Cheeky bugger. Yeah.
Cheeky man. We invite you on this channel and you want to take 3 points off us.
It's the week off and Everton's game the other day. I think that just pushes it over the edge.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I expected you to say that, to be fair. I expected nothing less. Right. Here's mine then, coming at you, right? I actually said a bit back, which I always get shit from Pablo. He's on the fan advisory board at Everton. I always get stick for this. We played Bournemouth a bit back, and I said we was going to beat them 5-1, and they spanked us. So since then, I said on score predictions, I'm not going to go stupid because normally I go high. I'm a positive fan. But since then, I make sure it's only been like 2-1, 1-0. I've gone low on my predictions, but especially at 6-0 Chelsea, bloody hell. But this is different now, Dan. I'm coming at you. I'm going to have you here tonight, mate, on this channel. I'm going to go for 4-1 Everton. 4-1. I'm coming back with a big score. And I know Brentford don't concede goals much, but we're spanking these 4-1. And I tell you who's going to score. Calvert-Lewin's going to score again. Harrison's going to score. McNeil's going to score. And Decore's going to score. And there your goal scorers. And for you, it's going to be Ritza, however you say his name. I like him. I did say I like him. I think he's good, and he can. Yeah, Witzelsberger. Yeah, I think he's good. Yeah, he's going to score. I don't know how I could get that name wrong, but it is me. But I'm going 4-1. I am going 4-1, and I think I look at your defence, and I think you haven't got your proper left back, you haven't got your right back, your centre backs, you haven't probably got your proper centre back. I mean, the guy that you're missing, who normally plays left back, what's his name?
Rico Henry. He's been out for ages.
Henry's your best player for me. I think he's fantastic. Yeah, he normally bombs it up, and I think bloody hell, he's good. He plays well against Everton as well, by the way. I think
he's a brilliant left back. Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant left back. So I'm not taking it easy on you. I'm looking at you saying you weak left back, you weak right back, and in the middle of the part you are strong, but we'll have you. So we're coming for you. We are coming for you, and we're going to beat you 4-1, and we're going to go above you in the league. And then after we've gone above you, we're going to say see you later, because we're going to go above Crystal Palace as well. And that's how I'm feeling after this derby. I am on a mission to climb that table, and it's going to happen. But don't take offence to that, because I love your team, but we're just on a mission. We would have gone for
I can't wait to bring you back down to earth.
I'll crop this. Even if we lose, I'll put myself on the line here. But generally, that was a massive result last game. Liverpool needed to win that game to win the Premier League, and we beat them and stopped them winning the Premier League. So some people would say Liverpool was crap, but we made them crap. And we also beat Forest, and that was a massive game as well. They needed to win that because they could get relegated. 2 massive wins for us. And now we've got you. And I'm ready to put Brentford to bed as well and give them a spanking. So that's my score prediction. That was hardcore, that was, wasn't it? I felt like Eminem then dropped the mic. Woo! Let's do this. Yeah, 4-1. Let's get their score predictions on the screen. See if they're as positive as mine. I've took the risk here. I couldn't like a complete idiot, but I took the risk. Right, let's get theirs on the screen, and then we will finish the show, people.
Very good. Just seeing, trying to find Caswell's because he left a little bit early. But he made sure to leave it.
Yeah. Talk before the game.
4-0.
Sorry. Put that on again. Sorry.
Yeah, Dan said 4-0 DCL, Garner, McNeil, Harrison. So you're in the ballpark. We love Eugene. Eugene every time. Same scoreline. It'll happen eventually, Eugene. And it will be a hat-trick at some point. 4-1.
I've got
DCL
4-1.
hat-trick.
Yeah, 4-1.
All right. He says it every time. Every time. It'll happen.
I've gone his score this time. I'm with you, mate.
It'll happen at some point. Blues have gone 1-1 as well. He's gone for lawnmower celebration from Ghana and Wissa as well.
Finally, a sensible one.
Well, here's another sensible one. Cat's on Twitter. She reckons 1-0. Lulu knows her stuff. She reckons 2-1. Tazul, another one, 2-0. Emma's gone really conservative. We must both be safe by this point because she said 0-0. Really boring game.
Emma, change that now. Change that score now, Emma.
Eugene said 4-1 because DCL's on a high. So it won't
DCL's
be,
high. DCL's high. DCL's high.
One of two ways. I feel like he's not a player that can play regularly. I feel like he might get injured.
Yeah.
2 games in 3 days, too much for him.
Yeah. As long as it's after his hat-trick, I'm bothered.
Yeah, it's elation hangover anyway. So, what are you on, Dan, tonight? Anything? Lula wants 3 of them.
I'm on a cup of tea and Coca-Cola straight after each other. Super caffeine. I don't mess about. Paul's on the bevy. Dan's on the bevy.
we're proper positive with a couple of conservative ones, but no one's got us down as a defeat anyway, which I'm not surprised of after 2 brilliant wins. So Emma was tired and high on life. I actually woke up quite fine on the Thursday morning. Sun was shining, birds were singing. It was nice. It was good. Long may that continue.
Just look at these comments. Yeah, we need to stay positive and we need to stay high. And I know, like, obviously, people say, "Oh, you're going over the top of your score prediction." Why can't we win 4-1? 4-1 isn't a big score sometimes, by the way.
I know.
It isn't a big score. It really isn't a big score. We can win this. Obviously, Dan's gone 2-1, so he's come at me. Don't think I'm the nasty one. He's come at me with 2-1 on this show. So we're just going at each other. We're throwing punches tonight. That's what this head-to-head's all about. He wants to win. I want to win. Be nice to climb up the table there, wouldn't it, Dan? That's the thing. I mean, we're not completely safe. We probably do need to win one more game.
Yeah,
So this could be staying up.
I do find it hard to believe that Luton need to win basically all 4 games to really overtake us, and I find it hard to believe they'll do that when they've won about 4 in 34. So I do think if the worst was to happen and we lost all our games, I think we'd be all right. I think Everton may need 2 more points. I think that's the distance between Brentford and Everton at the moment. I think both teams would be fine, to be honest. And in terms of the table, you've got Palace, but then you've got a bit of a gap. So I'm not sure how much further than that we can go. Brentford fans would love to get above Fulham because they're one of our rivals, and we are playing them.
Scroll up, Paul, a little bit to Palace.
Yeah,
I was just seeing what Palace are on there. It's just seeing how far we can go up.
That's from fourth. Let's forget Forest. We're not going any further down now. So that's where we are.
Yeah. We'd love to reel in Fulham because if we beat you guys and if Fulham were to lose this weekend, then we have Fulham next weekend. So obviously if we were to then beat Fulham, then that might look a lot closer. But yeah, otherwise I'm not sure we'd be able to get much above 14th if I'm really honest.
Can we reel in Fulham, Paul? We can reel in Fulham there, can't we? We beat
We've got
these.
4 games left.
What? 30. Yeah, but we beat these. It takes us to 36. Fulham don't win. We're only what 3 points behind them.
Perhaps Fulham have got Palace at home this weekend, so
they can't both win.
Might be one or the other.
You had to ruin it. You had to. It's got to be a draw then, hasn't it? So there
might be one or the other. Fulham have then, as Daniel said, Fulham are away at Brentford the week after. Yeah, that's on the 4th. So what's that? The Saturday, and then Fulham are at home to Man City and away to Luton. So never know. Might catch Fulham, but maybe not Palace.
No, I think we can push it. Like I say, Fulham will be hard. You just want to finish strong, don't you? You don't care now. You just want to finish strong just to make you feel good about your football team, don't you, Dan? Like you said, you've got a few young players that you want to chuck in now and find out what they've got for next season. And we want our players to show us some good games because we've had so much crap this season. A comment here on the screen from Emma. I was so tired and high on live yesterday. I paid for the wrong pump at the petty station. I only realised when I tried to get in the fella's car. Well, I hope someone's got a good day there, haven't they? Can't go wrong, can you? If you get your diesel paid for you or your petrol, pay mine if you want. Pay mine if you want. Get my petrol filled up, full tank. Let's do this. Luton play Everton next Friday
night.
Yeah, we can win every single game. I think we can win every single game. We can. Right, people. That is the end of the show. We are finishing this now. Brentford v Everton. Going to be a cracking game. Dan, thanks for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it, mate. It's been a nice long one, but we've got to know a bit about your team there. Like I say, got nothing against Brentford. Enjoyed having you on. Good fan. Hope you do well this season. I think you'll stay up, like you said. And next season, it's going to be interesting for both of us after this season because it's been a bit stressful for both of us, hasn't it? Being around that bottom area, but hopefully better for us both next season, mate. Last words, everyone. Dan, what's your last words? Give us a sentence, Dan.
Cheers. It was great to come on. Yeah, and I hope for a good game tomorrow. And hope both teams end up safe, which I think we are. So hopefully, just a good game tomorrow.
Good lad.
Paul,
Good lad.
Foster, what you got for him?
It's been a bright, shiny week. Let's have a bright, shiny weekend.
Yeah, let's do this. Can't wait for it, to be fair. I'm enjoying waiting for this game. And it comes around quick as well. I can't even spit my words out. So that shows how excited I am for it. And it's too late. I won't be able to sleep now. Have a boss one, everyone. Have a good night. And we'll be here on the instant match reaction. Hopefully a win. And Dan wants us to lose, by the way. But hopefully we win. Let's do this. Drop in the banner now, people.
Take care, everybody.
Have a good night.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do
Get on the
is
stream.
run.
We'll be celebrating. I hope so. I really do.
Hear me out.